Hello and welcome to Sorted Food.
Today we are channeling our inner normal home cook and celebrating the dishes that just make us feel all comforting and nostalgic.
Now, from grilled cheese to baked potatoes, every normal has their go-to basic recipe. Some would say guilty pleasures, but personally, there's nothing to feel guilty about.
Today we're talking baked beans on toast, and we're challenging our chef to make it gourmet, and by gourmet we mean Ebba's chef it up.
That's my job, that's what I'm here to do, and I'm genuinely quite excited for this.
First of all, let's recap what makes baked beans on toast so iconic. Think of it as a meal in a can, slathered onto buttered toast.
Oh, it's saucy, it's sweet, it has all the textures.
Not only a midnight snack, but also a morning staple. It's
brilliant.
technically what we're saying is it can't be beaten.
But Ebba's, can you beat it? Beans on toast, make it gourmet.
Okay, this is going to be about layering up flavour on flavour, excellent ingredients, and proper technique.
What are you doing
By
already?
peeling an espresso martini.
So we've made an excellent stock from pork and chicken bones, and I'm using the fat from the stock to begin this dish. We're going to start frying off smoked lardons, the first of our pork.
Now, smoked bacon and baked beans, the ultimate baked beans has sausages in it.
Well, look at that.
Yeah.
There is a tin. Baked beans with sausages.
For me, it's up there with it's in my top 3 dishes of all time, of all the things I had around the world.
What?
Because it's
All the things you've had around the world.
genuinely, you don't need, I know you won't agree with this, but you don't need flavour 24/7. This is like it's the sorbet. This kind of resets things a little
This
bit.
is the sorbet.
You know what I mean?
So my logic is, let's make one of, I think, my favourite bean dishes. So we're going to the south of France and doing a Toulouse-style cassoulet.
I knew it. I knew you were going to screw this up. Like, baked beans on toast is not cassoulet on toast.
Cassoulet is one of those wonderful dishes that's named after the pot it's cooked in, like a tagine. Cassoulet is made in a casserole. Casserole. We would call it a casserole in the UK.
Oh, that's what you would say. Thanks for the translation.
Smoked bacon lardons getting a head start, then all the veg, onion, celery, carrot, and we're going to soften all of those vegetables.
The thing about beans on toast is it just the 3 of us who love this dish and find it all nostalgic and comforting? No, because we asked you on Twitter, and lots of people had lots of thoughts about beans on toast. A lot positive, some not so much.
Yeah, like Sigma said that, well, it's the perfect midweek pick-me-up, and you can pimp it up with some cheese on top. It's so versatile.
Randall said, beans on toast, not for me. I'm a Minnesotan. Our comfort food is tater tot hot dish, which also sounds fantastic to me.
I think it was the first thing I learned to cook, and probably the last thing I cooked as well, because I made it last night.
There's an excellent quote by Julia Childs, right? And she said, cassoulet is a beast of a bean dish that's perfect for peasants. But it's also the ambrosia for the gastronome, because although this is a really hearty, peasant-based dish, you can get really quite chefy with it.
Is he calling us
I think the more he calls us peasants, it's not helping his cause, is it?
Now, there are so many different versions of cassoulet all over France, and every region has their own. I don't know how traditional tomato is to the very, very first and original ones, but I figured, given that tomato is such a big ingredient in our baked beans, it's got to go in.
Absolutely.
Tomato, garlic, herbs, that's rosemary, thyme and bay, all going in. Dried beans, super affordable. You've got more control if you soak them and cook them, because essentially you're cooking all of the flavour from our stock into the beans, rather than using tinned beans that are already cooked for you.
Pint of beans, please, mate.
So these need soaking overnight in cold water, because what they do is rehydrate, swell, and it gives you more control to cook, but also then you can cook them quicker. And that turns into this. And you can see the difference.
Oh, wow, cool.
Lots of debate about which beans for beans on toast. I think the tinned ones are haricot beans. Yeah. These are cannellini beans.
Oh, wow.
Stock.
Just some.
With all those layers of flavour in there, bring it up to a boil, stick it into an oven, 150 degrees Celsius for about an hour and a half.
So what sausages are you putting into this beans on toast bin?
Famous French chef once said, a cassoulet is not a recipe, it's a way of neighbouring villages to argue. Because every village has their own kind of version depending on what you have and what's local. I've gone for duck legs, pig's cheeks, and we'll have a bit of sausage too. But these have been cured. So yesterday I took salt, black peppercorns, garlic, thyme, rosemary, and blended it all up in a spice grinder to give you a really fragrant, delicious curing salt, and then scattered it and rubbed it into all of this. And we can rub off the excess, but then basically this meat is going to go into our cassoulet once those beans have had the hour and a half head start. So duck is pretty common in cassoulet, often cuts of pork, depending on where you are, somewhere like Carcassonne, they would put mutton in, often different sausages, regional sausages. You can even have partridge and goose, depending on where you're from.
Let's have a look at this sausage.
Oh,
Whoa!
flippin' heck.
That's not a banger.
That's a turnip.
Again, every region has their own sausage. You can use a Toulouse sausage if you're sort of doing one of the very traditional cassoulet, kind of where it all originated in the Languedoc region. However, this is more kind of mid-mountainous Comté region of France, and they literally hang these in a barn and then light conifer and juniper sawdust underneath in the barn, and the whole barn fills with smoke. And it's a cold smoke, so it's not cooked, it's a cold smoked sausage. After an hour and a half of those beans gently bubbling in the oven, the pig's cheeks, the duck legs, and the sausage go in, bring it back up to a boil, and then back in the oven for another 2.5 hours.
We're 18 hours in.
And I feel like I'm getting a lot of trouble from the side. I'm just trying to make it gourmet, and sometimes about celebrating the region and wonderful pairings. So while we're in the south of France, in the Languedoc, how about a glass of wine?
What did you pair your beans on toast with?
Oh, what a beautiful Pinot Noir.
Oh, yeah.
The region, the Languedoc region, was literally turned all their vineyards over into making wine for the French army. So while we're talking about cassoulet, which was to defend the city during the siege, I thought it would also be a nice nod to something that will really play to the pork, the fattiness, the unctuousness of beans. Gourmet? Are we getting close to gourmet?
Oh, that is very nice.
Tastes like red wine.
It's all... In the same way that I didn't smoke my own sausage, I bought bread. I don't know.
You found someone else for that, did you?
It would be very, that would be very impressive.
But it's worth pointing out we're going sourdough, and if you've got a sourdough culture, you absolutely can do it. It's live, it's bubbling, it's kind of what gives this dish a wonderful crunch.
What are you going to do with that?
Toss it in olive oil, salt, pepper, and bake them off so we've got croutons.
On top of the
Salad.
oh,
Salad.
not this.
We're only going to need one tray for today, but the rest of this we'll scoop out, blend up with garlic, herbs, oil, toast off in the oven, and then store it in an airtight container. And you sprinkle it on salads and soups and risottos and pasta dishes and cassoulets and anything you like that just needs a bit of oomph. So now we need to toast it, and we all know it has to be buttered toast.
Oh, chef!
That also goes into the oven to toast off, so not too high, same temperature as our cassoulet, so it crisps up and becomes toasty.
Now what?
What's the title of the dish we're making?
Beans on
Baked
toast.
Beans on toast.
Plural beans, so one beans isn't enough. How about more beans? Got some runner beans. What I'm going to do is a really citrusy, umami kind of powerhouse of a dressing around some bean and fennel slaw.
Coleslaw out of the pot, onto the baked beans. The mayonnaise-y, yogurty sauce
with the tomato
starts
sauce.
to mix with the tomato
Yeah,
sauce.
100% with you.
Yes.
And if you think about slow-cooked bean dishes from all over the world, so Brazil, beans with all sorts of bits of pork, feijoada. They put the orange on top because it helps with digestion. If you think about across India, after a meal, they will often chew on almost candied fennel seeds because it aids digestion. I figured I would do that with beans and fennel in a slaw with a nice dressing. So parsley tossed in a dressing that is the zest of a lemon, juice of a lemon, some mustard, some chopped anchovies, pinch of pepper, olive oil, whisked up, toss it all together, and you've got that wonderful powerhouse of flavour that cuts through the aniseed and the beans and the fresh herbs. A salad on the side, and on top of that, a few of our croutons. I'm just toasting the inside because the sourdough has got that wonderful chew to it, which means it's not really toasted as much as the outside. And if you've cooked your cassoulet right, you can break it up with a spoon. If you want to cheat this midweek, if you ever open a tin of beans, whack the whole lot in, including the bean juice. We use it quite a lot in meal packs as just a really good way of getting all of that bean juice into whatever you're cooking. So you can do an Italian Tuscan bean stew with a tin of butter beans in very little time. So the final thing is to use all of our beetroot top. So whatever greens you've got in season, we're going to chop them up and stir it into this so you get almost like a final wilt of green spinach wonderfulness, and it means that nothing goes to waste. That is a gourmet beans on toast. In toast.
In 28 hours.
Cheers.
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 Wow, wow, wow. That is so rich and smoky, but do you know what? If you shut your eyes and bite into it, you get baked beans in there somewhere.
You do get baked beans. You get the sweetness from baked beans, which is important.
That has got the perfect amount of stodge.
Let's have a bit of this.
When you finally think you've had too much meat, you go for a bit of salad, it gives you room to go back.
Oh wow, the salad is amazing.
It's really difficult putting the two side by side as a comparison because they do different jobs. But if we're taking the original beans and sausage on toast and making it gourmet, does that work?
That's the ultimate comfort food.
100%.
That gives me every single feeling that the original beans on toast gives me. So, yes.
I didn't think it could be done, but that is better than beans on toast.
Early doors I was worried you'd gone too far off piste. But to return to this, it tastes outstanding.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm not gonna make that at home. I haven't got 48 hours to make beans on toast. I do have bread and I do have tins. And I will be adding some delicious meats to my beans on toast to get a little bit closer to that.
Well, there are three very happy peasants in the kitchen right now. But it's over to you guys. Comment down below, let us know what basic dish should we let our chef loose on next. Comment below with the dish name and then say, Ebbers, make it gourmet.
I demand it.
Have you ever got to the end of a long day with no ideas, ingredients, or energy to cook? Takeaway? It'll be the fourth this week. Well, that's why we built our revolutionary Meal Packs app. Thousands of people are using it to shop, cook, and eat a whole lot better and easier while saving money as a result. You can go and use it in its entirety for free for a whole month and see if it's for you. The link is in the description box below. And now for the blooper.
Ever chef it up, chef it up, ever chef it up.
Ever chef it up, chef it up, ever chef it up. Good.
If anybody's in need of a wedding band.